After covering some innovations and trends and understanding how to build a scalable and profitable business on them, we are back to discover more valuable insights and lessons from and for India's tech and product ecosystem. Welcome to the second day of the second edition of the Makers Summit, India's largest product conference, presented by Inc42 Sears and Google Cloud, co-presented by CleverTap and Deskera, and powered by Simple and Dukan. I am Prashasti Bhatt, your host here at Stage A of the conference. Now, we got an incredible response yesterday where more than 5,000 founders, leaders, and makers joined us across sessions and stages. Here's a quick glimpse at some of the many interesting folks we met.
वो हम भी बना लेंगे।
इस काम के लिए तो वक्त ही वक्त है।
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And now for the very first session. We have picked a very basic problem that can have a transformational impact on any business and is faced by many Indian makers. And no, not just one, round about three, four. Understanding the prioritization frameworks, how to lead teams and pick products to build, how to run 0 to 1 business experiments, how to run needle moving tasks, and many more. We have an edtech startup present across more than 5,000 cities to ease this process for us. Founded in 2015, it reportedly has more than 50,000 registered educators and more than 62 million learners. And recently, it launched 10 new lessons with Sachin Tendulkar. To present the keynote on moving the needle, prioritization, 0 to 1 experiments, leading products, and more, we have Gaurav Munjal, co-founder and CEO of Unacademy. Hi, Gaurav. Thrilled to have you here.
Thanks a lot, Prashasti, for the introduction. Looking forward to the session.
Me too, Gaurav. And without further ado, I will leave the stage over to you.
Yeah. How can I interact with the people who are watching if I want to ask some questions and make this interactive? Is there an option?
So, Gaurav, you can pose the questions to the audience, and whatever they respond, we will convey that same to you.
Okay. I would like to keep this interactive. So if the people who are watching here can either tweet reply to me, that way I will be able to know what you guys are thinking, and we can make this a little interactive. The objective of the session is the frameworks that we use at Unacademy and how they help us drive outcomes. I was 23 years old when I started my first company with Himesh, and then it got acquired within 10 months. And then we were with Common Flow for 1.5 years. And around 2015, we started Unacademy. But over the years, one of the goals that we have had is that how do we build Unacademy into a place where innovation happens? So our objective is not just to build great and iconic products. Our objective is to build a place where innovation happens. And because of and if that is the objective, you have to develop your organization as a product. And once you develop your organization as a product and you have frameworks to help create multiple products, I think that's when an organization becomes iconic. It is not possible for an Indian tech company to be $100 billion company by just having one product. It needs multiple product lines. It needs geographic expansion, global expansion. And there are some of the frameworks that have helped us in the past. And these are well documented now. So when we start a new business at Unacademy, they help us. The first framework is the jobs to be done theory. And I'm pretty sure that most of you have read Competing Against Luck. This is one theory that we follow to the heart. Every product that we build, everything that we do, this is something that is super important to us on how we decide what to build and how we make product decisions. And those of you who have not read the book, the jobs to be done theory says that when we essentially buy a product, we hire it to do a job. And if it does a bad job, we fire it and look for an alternative. What job is the customer really paying for? And it's a very, very, very interesting book. The first chapter talks about how McDonald's figured out why people are buying their milkshakes and how they doubled the sales of milkshakes using the jobs to be done theory. So I'll give you an interesting anecdote on what happened. I think around from 2015 to 2018, Unacademy was a free platform. We were sort of like a YouTube for education. People would make free content using our educator app, the educators, and then it was consumed by millions and millions of learners. At one point, we were doing around 300 million video views a month across YouTube and our own platform. And then we launched sort of this marketplace model where these educators can sell their courses, and those courses can be purchased by the learners. And we were focused on test prep initially. So what happened was that people would buy the course, and then another economics course would launch, and people would say, "I want to learn from that educator." So there was what we realized is that unlike traditional coaching centers and unlike even other online platforms, we got this insight that students want to learn possibly different topics from different educators. And the way the test prep systems are built offline and online, this was not possible. Because if you were allocated a teacher at one point, I mean, it is fairly certain that you would be studying from that teacher, let's say 1 year from now also. And when we launched these courses, we used to have a lot of cannibalization because students would say, "Oh, can we get a refund on this course and buy that course?" That gave us an insight, and we went to this jobs to be done theory and realized that people essentially want access to all the top teachers. They are hiring our product to get access to all the top teachers and not just the few one or two teachers. And when that started to happen, we realized that uh, our job, the product that is being hired, the job of that product is not just to provide a curriculum, not just to provide a course, but it is to provide access to the top teachers. And I think in 30th January, we took the call, we pivoted to the subscription model from the marketplace model. We were one of the first ones in the world to do it. And we gave access to all the top 100 teachers in a particular category. For example, if you're preparing for IIT, you'll get access to like 50 to 100 teachers for one-fourth the cost that traditional offline players were charging. I think I still remember because that's how product market fit feels. And we had experienced PMF when we were a free product because our free views were growing. But this time we had experienced it when our monetization had happened. And we were experimenting for 1 year, and this was the first time we realized this is how PMF feels. In the first month, we did around 1.8 crores of revenue, then 2, then 2.5, then 4.3, then 4.7, 7, 9, 14. We did 14 crores in September 2019 after launching this product on 30th January 2019. It just scaled crazily because we focused on really what job is your product being hired for. It was, and we realized it's not just education, it is access. And once we gave that, everything changed for us. So read the book Competing Against Luck, massively needle moving book. And this theory has helped us at an academy do in fact, at this point we are applying jobs to be done theory for another project that I can't talk about, but hopefully next year I would be able to say that we were able to do that. So read the book Competing Against Luck. The theory is by Kristen Clayton, a professor at Harvard. He passed away in 2018, but he phenomenal writer, and he has built some phenomenal frameworks. You should read all of his books. The other thing that we are really obsessed about at an academy is outcomes. I meet a lot of founders, I meet a lot of operators, and people usually have a habit to talk about the inputs and the output. Let's say you decide to make a new feature and you put it in your roadmap. That's sort of an input that I will make 7 8 features. Let's say you make the features live. That's output. The 8 features are live and the team starts feeling happy about that. But one thing we realize is that the customer behavior is the key metric for business success. And again, there is a book called Outcomes Over Output, which we make every leader at an academy read. If your customer behavior is not changing, then that's not an outcome. That's not a success. Are customers buying more of our products because of our initiatives? If the answer is yes, then it's an outcome. How many customers are using the new feature that we shipped and how many times? What is the frequency of usage? What is the retention? So one of the things that we hold ourselves and that we measure ourselves with are outcomes. We celebrate outcomes and not just output. It is important that you build features, but it is very important that those features lead to change in customer behavior. Now, this is a framework that I think has been one of the most needle moving frameworks for us. I don't see a lot of people following it, but this is something that has helped us time and again. We think that once we hit PMF, we think that once we make the product, once there is PMF, that's amazing, that the flywheel is created. But we forget that we need to keep making the flywheel better. Whenever you invent something new, whenever there is PMF, you usually have a period of 18 to 24 months, or maybe in today's time, 12 to 18 months before your competitors catch up with you. So it just gives you a leverage of 12 months where the competition is not there and you cannot become complacent. You have to continue focusing on your flywheel. You have to continue focusing on making it better. MySpace came before Facebook. MySpace was not the first. I think there is some. MySpace was not the first social network. It came before Facebook. Gtalk came before WhatsApp. BBM Messenger came before WhatsApp. What happens is that it is fairly important to continue making your flywheel better through P-type and S-type loan shots. Now, what are P-type loan shots? Whenever you make a new product, iPhone, Tesla's electric car, whenever you make a new product, that's a P-type loan shot. It fundamentally changes everything that has been happening in that sector. But the best of the best companies not just do well with P-type loan shots, but they do well with S-type loan shots. S-type loan shots can be about your brand. It can be about your traction. Anything that changes the orbit of where you are currently. If it's through a new product, that's P-type. If it's through a new strategic move, that's S-type. You have a particular product and you suddenly realize that this product can be scaled across geographies and you go into newer markets, that's S-type loan shot. You figure out a very innovative way to acquire customers, that's S-type. At Unacademy, whenever we are doing our annual planning or quarterly planning or monthly planning, one of the focus is, and one of the focus that we hold our leaders accountable to is, what loan shots are there in your businesses, or what are the new strategic or product moves that you are making in your businesses that are helping you. This shifts the orbit. We hate incremental growth at Unacademy. There is this book called Amp It Up by Frank Slootman that I would recommend to all of you. Incremental growth is boring. It is needed, but it is boring. So while incremental growth is happening, what are some of the loan shots that you can do? What are some of the loan shots that you can build that shift the orbit for you? And every time there is a loan shot, you get another 12 months until your competitors catch up with you. So it's a very important framework, because if you fall in love with incremental growth, then you will at some point become a commodity. Creating the flywheel once is not enough. You need to continue making it better constantly. I'll just take a few questions so that it's interactive. Is it possible that multiple jobs to be done can exist? How do we identify the core job when searching for PMF? See, you need to talk to your customers, but you need to also know what questions to ask. One of the mistakes that we do while writing surveys or while asking questions to customers is that it's usually filled with confirmation bias. We ask a question in a way that the answer is something that we like. We need to ask questions not just about products, but about the problems that they are facing, about what their desires are, about what is it that they need, that they want to get solved. For example, this milkshakes example from the book, the McDonald's example. Eventually, McDonald's realized that um, the milkshake needs to be thick, so that while people are taking away the milkshake and driving to their work, it does not get finished. It's not. It is there till the time they reach their work. So they were hiring the milkshake to sort of pass the time of driving from their home to work. So and that insight you cannot get if you ask questions like, do you like our product, what can we do better? No, the questions that you need to ask customers is that, uh, what is the biggest problem that you are facing right now when it comes to this particular area? What are the new things you would like in your current alternative product that you will, or what is missing in your current alternative product? When you start asking about your own product, the answers that you will get are very optimizations versus needle moving growth. Let's move to pivots. One thing we realized, and there was I've spoken about this time and again, that people need to be more patient with PMF and TMF. And TMF is something that we use at Unacademy, which I will talk about in some time. I think the patience towards PMF is not there. You need to realize that Unacademy took 4 years and multiple pivots to crack its first business model. Graphy took 7 pivots for us to figure out what's the right direction. Direction is very, very important. I remember back in the day, back in 2015, it's latter half of 2015, we had launched this platform called Wizest, Wizest. So we had two products then, Unacademy and Wizest. Unacademy's focus was to build a YouTube for education. Wizest was focusing on selling tests for test prep. I think on day one of Wizest, we did 1 lakh in revenue because we were selling tests. And by day 7, the revenue had grown a lot. And when the founders of Unacademy would step into the office, everyone would just talk about the Wizest revenue. At one point, we realized that yes, we can make a lot of money through selling tests, but is this our vision? Is this what we need to focus on? We shut down our best performing product then, which was Wisest, to build an academy which did not exist because we were afraid of building the wrong thing. Because every team member was just talking about the revenue of Wisest instead of focusing on the hard problem, which is how can we beat YouTube in education. And we decided one day to shut down. I think this is day 7, day 8. We decided to shut it down and focus on an academy. Now, that was the most crucial decision that we took. Otherwise, we would be a test prep platform today selling tests, which we didn't want to be. We want to be something bigger. We wanted to be a platform where, today we have 800,000 paid users across 50, 60 exams. We are present in multiple countries, etc. And our ambition is to get the best educators and creators on our platform, giving education to millions of learners. That was the vision. So pivots are not just about something bad is happening going to a good thing. Pivots are also about, is the good thing that is happening aligns with the, does that thing align with your direction? So I think that's super duper important. My only advice here to all of you, product people, founders, just be more patient with PMF. It takes a lot of time. And as I just spoke about PMF, another thing that is super important is TMF, traction market fit. Whenever I meet founders today, the obsession towards PMF is there from day one. How do we build a product that people need? How do we get to the point where um, you know a lot of people are using our product? But people forget that if you crack PMF but forget to crack TMF, you will fail. Yes, Apple has the best products, but Apple also has the best marketing strategy. The way they do their Apple events, the way their stores are, it's literal innovation. They figured out the event model, the store model, and the ads model. So the event talks about the new products that are coming. The store is distribution where you can go and buy the products. And the ads keep telling you about the products that have been launched. Same with Nike. Sometimes people invent good products, but their inability to market them or position them restricts them from reaching the desired audience. And eventually these products fail. Attraction market fit is the right combination of attraction channel and attraction product, which will scale. In case in the way Unacademy builds its businesses, the traction channel is where you will talk about your product, but traction product is how you will bring your customer to your app or website or your store. Now the traction product can be your paid product, or the traction product can be your free product in case of a freemium model. For example, with Unacademy, on YouTube, our teachers took classes and then they said, come to the Unacademy app for more free classes. This way, we attracted a lot of people to our app and then they would eventually buy our subscription. Or we would do this Unacademy Learning Festival, and our influencers who we do influencer marketing with, they would promote the learning festival and people would flock onto the app. So it is fairly important to crack traction. For example, Cash App, which was Square's P2P money transfer app, which was launched in US. One of the ways that that app scaled is they got the best influencers to tweet that if you retweet this and you post your Cash App username on the comments, you will get $2 or $1 or whatever. And that led to virality. And I don't think they gave money to everyone. They said one of you will get this. So I think it is fairly important to figure out what traction works for you. The way you build PMF, that you will try and experiment, you will do A/B testing, is the similar way that you should also focus on TMF, because it is equally important, if not more, than PMF. Some of the examples, and at Unacademy, whenever there is a new product, we make it a goal that it's not just PMF that we have to crack, but it's also TMF. The few examples are that we built a YouTube distribution. And those educators said that for free classes come to Unacademy app. And then when people came to the Unacademy app, they bought the products that we were selling. Similarly, the educators who were teaching on Unacademy, they got a 15% referral bonus every time they converted a student to one of our subscription products. So they had the incentive to bring students from their network to our product. I'll take a few questions. Real product where patients paid off for Unacademy, even our core business. We took 4 years to start monetizing because we were just figuring out the traction first. And that's what we did with our free platform. With the Relevel, I think we launched for the first 6 months, we were just ideating and experimenting. But when we launched the product 6 months ago, we went from 0 to 8 million ARR in 6 months. And, but people don't realize that before launch, for the first 6 months, we were constantly experimenting. We were constantly figuring out what will work. At an early stage, you need people with a lot of grit and perseverance, because at an early stage, you need more than ability, you need will. If people have the will to get shit done, if people have the will to work long hours, at an early stage, it's going to be 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. People will get a lot of skin in the game. Some of our early stage employees are now millionaires. So there will be a payoff, but it will also mean that they will have to sacrifice a lot. So I think at early stage, we would get people who are smart, who can get shit done, and who are not so fussed about work-life balance. This was our philosophy at early stage. Sometimes customers may not know what they need and what should they be prioritizing on. How do you figure out the outcomes needed in this case? No, you need to first crack PMF. If you don't have PMF or TMF, your first priority is to build something that people need. Or if your first priority is to build a traction channel that can get users to your product. Once you have that, then your focus is on growing it. But until you have PMF, that's the only thing that you should worry about. Actually, about TMF, there are and this is an interesting problem statement that TMF is not just about finding the right distribution. This is the question that Kunal asks. TMF is about finding the right distribution and the right traction channel, but also the journey that they will go through while purchasing your product. OnePlus had this traction strategy, that they would do these exclusive events where you can buy the phone and you need an invite or a referral or something like that. Clubhouse, in its beginning days, the way they did traction is that they got people like Elon Musk on the app, but they made the app invite only. It's not just distribution, it's not just traction. It's not just that if you get Elon Musk on your app, traction will come. It's about the right strategy. It's about building traction like you build a product. For example, if you say that it will be invite only and you will do exclusive comments by celebrities on your app, that would mean that people will have FOMO and they would want to come to your app again and again until they get an invite. Superhuman, it's a $30 per month email service. It's very interesting. I went to Superhuman's website. They would not let me purchase the product or subscribe to their service without doing a video call with them. So that's a strategy, and that's a traction product that they figured out. They said it's mandatory to do the video call. And they must have figured it out that after the video call, the conversions that they are seeing is amazing. So it's not just the channel. It's not just that if your product is in Walmart or if App Store is giving you distribution, people will stick. You need to figure out the right traction channel, right traction product, and the way you will convert these users. Like Superhuman made it mandatory to do a video call, and they saw that their conversions are amazing. So it's super important that the journey that your users take. Apple follows that, Superhuman follows that. Some of the best products follow these journeys. And this is something that you need to constantly invent and figure it out. Oh, we probably do 5 or 10 events, experiments for growth, and you figure out one of them works. You need to do a lot of experiments. Um, I think the how big your company will be is directly proportional to how many experiments you are doing, and not just in product but in traction, and how many of those experiments are successful eventually. The right metrics to track for TMF. Um, First is the distribution. Is your distribution growing? Can you grow your distribution? In our case, let's say if YouTube is the traction channel, are the views of YouTube channels that we run growing? If SEO is your traction channel, are you getting more impressions? Now that's your traction channel. Now where are you sending people? Uh, if you're sending people for a video demo, then you need to see the conversions. What if you allow people to directly purchase the product versus you make it mandatory for people to do a video call? In case of Unacademy, what if we allow people to directly purchase the product versus we send them to a free class? We saw that once people use our free product, once people see our free classes, they are more likely to convert. So we did a conscious call to send users to the free classes, and then the likelihood of them getting converted or the conversions would be more. So it's the traction channel, it's the traction product, and it's your conversion journey. The three of them constitute with the right TMF. The second last framework that I would like to talk about is the strategic inflection points framework. Every single business bar none goes through strategic inflection point. This is a time period when an organization must respond to a disruptive change in the business environment. Andy Grove, the CEO of Intel, gave a talk in 1992 about strategic inflection point. It's a brilliant talk. It's on YouTube. I think it's disappointing that such a good talk has so little views, and YouTube is filled with such amazing nuggets. It's a brilliant talk. You should all watch it. Basically, he says that there will be times when suddenly there are changes in the market and your business is not growing. And unless you become good at responding to these strategic inflection points, you will miserably fail or become irrelevant. And when a strategic inflection point happens, you basically have two directions that you can follow, two things you can do. And I'll come to that. But first, I'll tell you a strategic inflection point that we faced. In 2018, we sort of had this free platform, millions of views. Some of our teachers were becoming celebrities, but they were leaving our platform because the best offline coaching centers were hiring our teachers who had become famous on Unacademy. So they grew on Unacademy. These are not teachers who are already celebrities. These are teachers who became celebrities on Unacademy. And our growth is being stalled because the best teachers are leaving us. And one of the reasons that we realized that they're leaving us is huge money. Like some of our top teachers were being paid 2 crores per annum, 3 crores per annum by the top offline coaching centers. And that was a strategic inflection point for us, because had we not responded to that, we would have failed. And at that point, we realized that, we need to figure out a monetization strategy. So hence we started experimenting with the marketplace and the subscription product. That way the teachers would make money and they would get retained. And it took us 6 months to figure it out. So every time your business goes through a strategic inflection point where new technology is there, I'm pretty sure that in the next couple of years, um, metaverse will change education. It's too early right now, but it will change education, and we have R&D projects working on that. But when it comes, we must embrace it. So, um, you know, and when the strategic inflection point comes, you have two things. Either you can do M&A, either you can start acquiring big companies, you can be on the front page of newspaper every day, um, or you can do experiments and with chaos and figure out, because an M&A is not the right strategy, because the companies that you acquire will also go through strategic inflection points at some point. So if your strategy to respond to strategic inflection points is just M&A, at some point it's a house of cards. But if you're doing experiments, if there is a lot of chaos, if the organization is working towards how to get out of the strategic inflection point, then the org becomes better. Then the leaders in the org become more anti-fragile, and they focus. And when you figure out these strategic inflection points, so the graph is like this, and this is the strategic inflection point. Either you can go up or you can go down. If you don't figure it out, you will most likely fail. And if you figure it out, that will be the next leg of your growth. And it will be a different org. So it is very, very, very crucial. And strategic inflection points are not just about a business, they are about a product. They are about a traction channel also. We have seen that in the past, if a traction channel was working for us, it stopped working. And we need to figure out a different way to get traction. So I think, for example, we opened Unacademy stores because and that's sort of a TMF experiment for us. We realized that parents and students, especially in school, want to go somewhere to discuss our products, want to go somewhere where they can learn about our products. And unlike other edtech competitors, we don't go to people's houses to force them to buy our products. We are a pull based, high intent product. So people come to us, people come to our stores, people come to our apps. And we realized that the Delhi and the Jaipur store that we launched were profitable within 30 days. So that's a traction market experiment that worked for us, and we will most likely scale it. But the interesting insight is, most people don't even try new experiments. Most people don't even try to figure out, for example, are uh, us not being able to capture these users was a strategic inflection point for us, and we realized that we have to do something different. So become very, very, very good with handling strategic inflection points. And yeah, Unacademy has, and this question about Unacademy's acquisitions, Unacademy has rarely done acquisitions for revenue. We have done acquisitions for team. For example, the Tap Chief team is working on Relevel. The Rio TV team is working on the tech for Relevel. The SwiftLearn team is helping us build our global test prep. One of the things that we realized is that because we are a very different culture, we are a very fast-paced culture. Some of the best people who work with us are founders. So except PrepLadder, there is literally no acquisition that we did for revenue. Either we would have done it to acquire a particular teacher, or we would have done it to acquire a team. So when I'm talking about M&A in here, these are large scale revenue M&As where, you know, where it's more than 20% of the value of your current org. So if you're $100 million organization and you're buying a $30-40 million company, that's a large scale M&A. So I think that's what I'm talking about, and not small M&As for teams or educators. So coming back to these strategic inflection points, very, very, very crucial. And before you even figure out how to navigate through these strategic inflection points, don't be in denial. don't be in denial that the strategic inflection point is not there. When we launched live classes, almost every other offline or online edtech player and subscription product live classes, every other online and offline player went through a strategic inflection point because they had to figure out how to respond. Some responded by copying us left, right, and center. Others responded by figuring out their own hybrid or live model. But the ones who didn't respond failed eventually. And there are a lot of companies that failed in edtech also. So, and then this was a very crucial strategic point where the entire industry was shifting from recorded to live because of an academy subscription product which had scaled massively. So keep a lookout for these strategic inflection points. Another thing that you can do very well is study the history of companies and see what strategic inflection points they had to go through. And you will learn a lot. But do check out this talk on YouTube because it's fairly important. You said Unacademy has had a free model for many years. How did you get the conviction that people would eventually pay for this? It's very easy, right? People were already paying to get a better job or to crack an exam. Uh, Either they would go to a college and pay lakhs of rupees, or they would go to a coaching center and pay, or they would go to an NIIT to get skilled. So we knew that this is a market where people will pay for. People will pay for because it's very high intent that they will get a better education or a better job, etc. So that is something we were never worried about. We wanted to create a platform, and we wanted to do it the right way. A lot of our early investors and early team members had told us to start selling Romans courses on a pen drive because that's what every other edtech player was doing. They were selling content in a pen drive or an SD card. We were very, very, very sure that we want to be a tech platform and we don't want to be a fully sales driven org. Sales is needed. Sometimes when you have payment failure, etc., you need an inside sales call. But there is a difference between being a fully sales org selling pen drives and being a tech company which does assisted sales. So I think we always knew that there is a way to monetize. We just wanted to monetize the right way and not the wrong way because we wanted to be a platform. What strategy did you use to convert free users to subscribers? Number one is the paid product needs to be iconic. You need to have PMF. I was telling you, when we were selling individual courses in the marketplace model, our sales were not very high. For 1 year, we went from 0 to 2 crores a month. But when we launched subscription product, we went from 0 to 14, 15 crores a month in just 6, 7 months. If you have PMF, how to convert users is super easy. Your sign up to paid conversions without even a sales call or without even a notification or email will be very high. And then you use notifications, you use emails, you use an inside sales call, you use some sort of triggers that, if you buy today you get an extension for a month, etc. So you use a combination of these, but these are 20%. 80% is the product itself. The last framework that I want to talk about is iconic goals and iconic milestones. This is the single most important framework that has helped us achieve what we achieved. There is a quote, there are two quotes that I live by. You will never achieve more than what you aim for. Ever. I mean, unless you're lucky and you get a lottery, that's a different thing. But you will never, ever achieve more than what you aim for. And the second thing is, it's a quote by Sam Altman. Your next project should make everything else that you have done in life look like a footnote. These are the two things. So whenever every year we set these iconic goals for ourselves, these iconic goals are super ambitious goals, and each team, each business of ours gets these iconic goals. And then we measure through iconic milestones. Some goals can be measured quarterly. So we'll have a quarterly milestone. Some goals can be measured, let's say, if we have to enter the global test prep business for the first 6 months, it will just be about building the right content. So an iconic milestone for the global test prep business is that have we built a phenomenal A plus, have we built phenomenal A plus content that is 10x better than everything else out there? And the milestone for them is 6 months later. But these goals and some teams even have a monthly milestone. These goals and milestones give clarity and they drive the team intrinsically. Everyone knows where they have to go. And over the years, one thing that we have realized is what game you play is more important than how you play the game. How you play the game is super important, don't get me wrong. But what game you play is very, very, very important. When we were doing the marketplace model, we were with and not the subscription model, the team was exactly the same. We were making same efforts. We were working 12 hours a day. Everything was exactly the same. But here, on one hand, we had a right model, PMF product, and the direction was different. Here, it was a marketplace model. If you pick the right game, if you pick the right direction, if you pick the right iconic goal, with the same team, same budgets, same resources, you can have 10x more outcomes. Spend a lot of time deciding the iconic goals. The goals should make everything else that you have done so far look like a footnote. The goals should give a lot of clarity and intrinsic motivation to the entire team and org. At Unacademy, we don't start execution until we have clarity on iconic goals and iconic milestones. Single most important framework that has helped us achieve what we have achieved. So these are these are 7 frameworks that we follow. There are more, but we want to wait for more clarity and more results before we make that into a framework. Jobs to be done theory, outcomes over output, Moonshots, embracing pivots, traction market fit, strategic inflection points, and iconic goals and iconic milestones. Thanks a lot, everyone. I wanted to share these frameworks with you so that they can help you achieve the goals that your org or individually you have set for yourselves. Share how these have helped you by tweeting to me, or would be happy to know how these impacted you. I'll take 2 or 3 more questions and then we can end the session. What made Unacademy start stores? Is it for brand reach? We realized that for certain categories, IIT, JEE, and NEET, we realized that people want to go somewhere with their parents and they want to know more about our products. And that's where we created these stores, and we have had a huge response so far. Graphy is a SaaS tool where we realize that we have built some amazing tech for people to take courses. Graphy is a SaaS tool that helps people launch their own courses, their own websites and apps. And the way you measure PMF here is retention. If the creators are able to make more money than they were using other products, if they are constantly retained on your app and they are paying you more, and your net MRR is increasing. For example, in case of Slack, the net MRR always goes up even after churn, because the organizations that were already paying, their number of users have increased. Yeah, I can give you an example of iconic goals and milestones at Unacademy. This year, we want to grow our core test prep business by 50%. That's one of our iconic goal because we are already at a 1,000 crore base. So in our core test prep business, we did 1,000 crores in the last calendar year. We want to grow that by 50% and we want to hit profitability. So that's one iconic goal for the core business. The second goal is that we want Relevel to reach 100 million ARR by the end of the year. That's one of our businesses that's blitzscaling. So we want that to happen. And the third iconic goal that we have is that we want to launch game-based courses that are better than cohort-based courses. If we do that, online education would look very different. So these are some of the iconic goals that we have. Thanks a lot, everyone, for attending the session. Hope it helps, and let me know how it helped. Would love to hear your stories.
Thank you so much for joining us, Gaurav. That was indeed a very insightful session. Learning from your journey, how you started Unacademy as a free platform, how you grew it to the pedestal you are at right now, and especially your point of metaverse and how Unacademy is already doing R&D on that, I think was very interesting, and you've gotten a lot of our audience members excited. So thank you so much for joining
Thanks a
us.
lot for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Now, you also do let us know what you loved about this session. Any value bomb you found really interesting? Do share all of that on Twitter with the hashtag TMS2022. Don't forget, our next session, Decoding Razor-Pay's $7.5 billion fintech juggernaut, is now live. So go check it out, and I will see you in the next session.